This is the inside of the 2020 Benimar Benivan 120. If I firstly come to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done this, we can turn on the main light strip just here on this button. All the other lights are then turned on and off on their own switches. Water pump on and off just here. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. Next we have awning light on and off. And then we have information just here. So if I go back to the beginning first of all, you'll see that this is a Sargent EC362 control panel. It's displaying the time in the middle and it's letting us know that we're currently using the leisure battery to run the back end of the motorhome. We can now see that the leisure battery is currently being charged as we're hooked up to main supply. It's giving us a condition of the vehicle battery. It's letting us know how much water is in the fresh tank and the waste tank. We've got battery selection just here, so if I now press this arrow, I can now switch over to the vehicle battery. So the vehicle battery is now powering the back end of the motorhome, but because we're currently hooked up to mains electricity, this is also the battery that is now being charged from the main supply. Clock adjustment just here, so again just use your arrows to alter the time, and then we end up back at the beginning again. Also up here we have the controls for the whale heating and hot water systems. So if we start with the heating just here, you'll see that we have a plus and a minus, which we use literally just to pick the temperature. So we have a little picture of a snowflake first of all, and that is the heating's frost protection mode. So if you've got it set at this point here, if the temperature drops below 5 degrees inside the van, the heating will just come on and it will just keep it at a steady 5 degrees. We then have a little picture of a moon, and this is what Whale recommend as a night mode. If you need the heating on whilst you're asleep, it will heat the motorhome roughly up to approximately 16 degrees. And then after that, we then just have temperature control. If we want to run the heating on gas, we literally just press the little picture of the flame and it will light up in blue. And then once it's ignited and it's running, the blue flame will then change to an amber colour. If we want to run the system on main supply, we come across to the little lightning strikes here, and again we just press, and you'll actually see that we have basically 3 different blue settings. Just come off that for a second. As you can see now, it is lit, so it's now running on gas. As you can actually see, we can run in dual fuel as well if you want to, but just for the moment I'm going to now just turn the gas back off again. So with your main supply, if we now just turn it on and we go to 1 blue light, this is mains electricity using about 0.75 kilowatts. If we now hold it again, we can go to 2 blue lights, and that's main supply using about 1.5 kilowatt. And if I hold it again, we then get 3 blue lights, and this is main supply using about 3 kilowatts. So this is literally just dependent on the ampage of the site that you're on to try and avoid tripping out. As I said, you can run the system in dual fuel mode as well if you want to. If you're not hooked up to the mains, you will not be able to obviously get into this bit at all. You will be completely locked out from it, so you can't actually lock the system out by accidentally trying to run it on mains when you don't actually have it. If there is actually a proper problem with the heating system, you will get a little red exclamation mark appear and a series of these little red marks, and then within the little quick guide it will tell you what the problem actually is. If we now move across to the hot water system, again you'll see that this works very similarly to the heating. We have the plus and the minus again. We have frost protection mode just here, so if this one is on, and then it will basically maintain a temperature within the boiler of about 25 degrees just to avoid it from freezing up. After that we then have a little picture of a leaf. This is eco mode and it will give you a water temperature of approximately 55 degrees, and then if we press it again we then have a water temperature of approximately 72 degrees. Again, we can run the system on gas, and again when it's lit we will get the amber colour, just to let you know. And we can also again run it on main supply, and again we have the 3 blue lights. This time one blue light is main supply using about 0.38 kilowatts. 2 blue lights is about 0.75 kilowatts, and 3 blue lights is about 1.5 kilowatts. So again, just dependent on the ampage of the site that you're on. Exactly the same as the heating. If there's a problem with the unit, you will get a red exclamation mark, and again you'll then get a series of little red lights, and it will tell you within the instructions what the problem is. If we now come down just behind the driver's seat, you will see that there are some 12-volt fuses just here. They are all labelled up, and they are for bits mainly on the outside of the motorhome, like marker lights, etc. We also have the larger tabletop just here, and then storage beside it. We have plug-in point just there for television. We then have the hob, so 2 gas rings, and it's just push in, twist and push the igniter. And then beneath that we have the oven and the grill. If we are going to use the oven, rotate round to the left and then just push the igniter. The flame itself actually sits just underneath that section at the back just there. And then if I go back to the off position again, so it's locked back in, and then push in and go down, we can then fire up the grill. Beneath the oven and the grill we have storage, and also underneath here you'll see 2 gas isolation taps, which are for the hob and the cooker. They're in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say if you do smell gas in the van, actually go underneath to the LPG tank and isolate it there. We also have the water pump in here as well. Beside that, we then have the location of the whale boiler itself, so it all just sits in the floor here. And we have the yellow lever here, which is the boiler drain tap. To drain the boiler down, all we need to do is literally make sure the water pump is turned off and then twist like so, and it will then start dropping all the water out of the boiler. If I now close it back up again, To fill the boiler back up when it has been drained down, all we need to do is make sure it's back like this, fill up the fresh water tank, turn the water pump on, and it will then commence priming the system back up again. You will need to open up the taps to force any air out of the system. Once they're running freely on hot and cold, close them back up again, and then the system will fully reprime itself. Again, if we now just move slightly further on, you'll see we actually have the main isolator switch for the boiler just there. So if this is turned off here, it will not work on main supply, so you would get no joy out of the control panel. Again, we have more gas isolation taps just in here as well, and the top one is for the hot water, the middle one is for the fridge, and the lower one is for the heating. The Dometic fridge turns on and off just here. This one here with the little picture of the 2-pin plug is main supply, so if you're hooked up, pop it onto this one. If you do not have main supply available, you can run the fridge on gas by highlighting the flame. These units automatically light themselves. And then lastly, we have 12-volt maintain here, which is the one you put it on to keep the fridge cold whilst on the move. It will only keep the fridge cold whilst the engine is running. So if I press this at the moment, it will start beeping at us because we currently do not have the engine turned on. This little flashing symbol here is also what you will see if you're trying to run the fridge on main supply and you don't have mains connected, or if you've tried to light it on gas and it's failed. If you want to make it attempt to try and light again, just literally press this button and it will then start trying to ignite itself. It does highlight it just here. Temperature control just here, and then it's just pushed down on the button to open the door. We have the removable freezer box just here. Above we have the wardrobe, and in here we have the smaller table and the table pole as well that will drop in either here at the back or here at the front. If we now come into the washroom, we have the shower just here and the shower curtain. The cassette toilet just here, bowl does swivel about. Open to the cassette just here, and then push to flush just here. Make sure the water pump's turned on, or otherwise it will not work. And then close the cassette back up again just here. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you feel resistance, just make sure nobody's left this open. Level indicator for the cassette is just here, and it will illuminate to let you know when it needs emptying. Basin just here. Just remember that when you are emptying, just push it away nice and slowly, and then it will drain off without shooting out here as well. We have more TV connection points just here, and above that we have the solar panel regulator. So if we want to completely turn the solar panel off, just pop it in the middle just here. If I want to use the solar panel to charge the vehicle battery, flick the rocker switch up, and if I want to charge the leisure battery, just flick it down. You cannot overcharge the batteries with this. It will regulate itself. As soon as the battery is at full charge, it will stop charging it, exactly the same as the battery charger does from the main supply. In this overhead locker we have the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof. On and off just here, and then just control the boost on the inner dial just here. If I now just come to this bench seat just here and remove the cushions, and I now lift up, we have the consumer unit just here. So we have the mains trip switches, we've got the 3 individual MCBs, and they're all labelled up to what they correspond to. We then have the main RCD and test button just here. So if something's not working on main supply, first port of call just to see whether or not you've tripped. Next to that we then have the 12 volt fuses, and again numbered up and labelled up. So if something's not working on 12 volt, just check to see if you've blown a fuse. Also in here we have the location of the leisure battery, and we also have the main 12 volt fuse for the system just here. Underneath the other bench seat we literally just have storage, and if I just let this bit drop here, we then also have just tucked here the 2 bars that are used to make the bed at the back. These bars just drop into these sections just here, which I will now do. As you can now see, I've popped the bars both into place. This then allows us to pull these sections across, and then they will be supported. And then it's just a matter of dropping the back pieces into place. And then you have the double bed. Carbon monoxide alarm just here, and smoke alarm just here. Just press the buttons every now and then just to make sure that they're fully operational.